This is cool. My first time doing an interview with a puppet.
You mean this guy, right?
Yeah, how's it going? Cool. So how long have you been a puppeteer?
I'd say about 35 years.
Okay. Well, here at Bionic Buzz, we're all about people's passion. Where did your passion for puppeteering kind of come from? Was it at a young age you started? Did you start making them yourself as a kid?
Okay. Yeah, I started making puppets. I was at least, preteen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was inspired by Henson's.
Yeah.
And then, Star Wars came along. And it was like, what? Those are puppets? So that blew my mind too. And movie after movie, Dragon Slayer, all that kind of stuff. That was totally my jam when I was a kid. And that inspired me to just go bigger and better.
I love it.
And of course, Jurassic Park came along and took it to the next level, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I just stuck with it.
Cool. So talk about this movie. How many puppets did you have up while working on the set?
We had about 20 puppets.
Mm-hmm.
A good number of them, including this guy right here, were background puppets, right? And then we had 3 hero animatronics that one was the female lead, the next was the male lead, Hans, the bad guy, and then we had a third one, which was a generic critter, and all of them had animatronic eyebrows, eyes, and lips, so you can get everyone get all the interaction, right? And the third guy, the generic guy, by the time we finished shooting, he must have been like 10, 15 different characters.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Cause
I think that's what we're most excited about, because this day and age, CGI for all this stuff, but it was cool to actually have the animatronics and puppets coming back for this one.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
It's good for you, because you get a job.
I like working. I don't know about you. I like eating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, guy. You gonna bite me?
Tastes like chicken.
All right, there you go. All right, I can't wait to see Critters attack. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank
Take
you.
care. So, Bobby, I think that everyone's very excited. There's no CGI.
Yes.
You've got the puppeteers, animatronics back. So, how important was that for you? And how hard is it actually working with that? So.
I wouldn't have done the movie if it was CGI. My first movie was all practical effects, and I think everyone at Warner Bros. Across the board, everyone was like, it's got to be puppets. And it's hard. There's a reason why they haven't done this in a while, because it's really hard to do with such a large cast of critters. You know, you can't make it's not called Critter. You know what I mean? Like
alien.
Yeah, there's like a ton of critters. So it was definitely challenging every day, and the most challenging thing was just them walking, because I didn't want to do CGI with that stuff. So it's all kind of, we cut around some of that. But when they run, it's great, because they're just turned into a ball.
Okay.
They duck into a ball and they're
Did you
become
guys just bowl
basketballs.
them down, or?
Yeah, that was the most fun, is watching a bunch of grown adults throwing basketball-covered, fur-covered
Is there going to be any
basketballs.
extras on the Blu-ray or anything with that?
I
in it?
think so. I hope so. Yeah. There's
Instead of a
definitely.
gag reel, it's people throwing.
Yeah. That was one of the highlights of my career, is yelling balls and then 20 fur balls bouncing into frame.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Well, here at Bionic Buzz, we're all about people's passions. I want to know where your passion for filmmaking kind of came from. A certain movie inspired it, or was it just always naturally for you as a kid?
Really, it really goes back to puppets. Me and my sister were doing puppet shows in the basement. It's something that's really important to me, and kind of I think a magical part of these movies and stuff like Gremlins and. So it did start with puppets and maybe like some stop motion animation and stuff like that.
Cool. Did you do like more, say, monster stuff or just anything?
Back in those days, I'm talking like second grade, I think monsters were probably a little more complicated.
Yeah.
But as I got older and more into the horror genre, the stuff I was doing, they were getting scarier and scarier. Yeah.
It's weird how that works out.
Yeah.
All right, I can't wait to see Critters attack. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
So here at Bionic Buzz, we're all about people's passion. I want to know where your passion from acting kind of come from. A certain performance inspired it, film, movie, or was this naturally for you?
Well, when I was a kid, my mom was the first storyteller that I had ever seen. She used to sing songs to me. She used to sing Who Invented Music from the Jungle Book by Louis Armstrong. And she used to, do little puppet plays and everything. So I was fascinated by that. I would ooh and ah, and then when she wouldn't do it, I would cry. She didn't understand why. So that's how I fell in love with like storytelling at a young age from my mom.
Very cool. Well, speaking of puppets, now you're working with them in Critters Attacks.
Yeah.
How was it actually being on set with them?
It was great being on set with them. I remember when I first saw one, I was like, oh my God. Like, they're not just creepy in the movie. They're creepy on set, when they're just laying there on a smoke break. So it was great. I'm happy it wasn't CGI. I had something to interact with, and it was amazing to see like the animatronics, because they're moving their eyebrows, they're angry, their teeth, there's slime coming out. I'm like, oh my God. Like, in the moment, you're kind of like, oh my God, is there really a guy under there? I feel like this critter is just real. Like the critter from my childhood that scared me, like popped out of the screen, and I'm interacting with it now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you get to roll with them around? I was talking to the director. He said a lot of people had to throw them to actually make them roll.
Yes, they had. I didn't get to throw any, but I got a lot thrown at me, and I had to like, I had to shuck and jive. I had to like stick and move.
It's like dodgeball almost.
Basically, I felt like a football player, and the critters were trying to attack me, and I was like, must get to van, touchdown, So when I finally, made it to the van at the end, I was like, yes.
Hello. So I assume your character in this movie has been waiting for these creatures to come back since then,
Yeah, they've killed my entire family, and I am out to get them.
Yeah, and you got a big freaking gun too. Like one more.
Yeah. You saw that, did you? Yeah.
That must have been fun on set.
Well, yeah, I was really happy that they had expanded Helen into Aunt Dee.
Yeah.
And really allowed her to grow into and morph into something. I hear them.
Distracting with Steve Blum behind us doing
Yeah.
the voices of the critters. So how was it cool on set? I actually had working with puppeteers and animatronics again.
The
I was
puppet, yeah, they were great. They were really great, and the critters look really good. It's nice for an actor to work with special effects too.
Oh, and especially this day and age with CGI, I think fans of like us, we want the puppeteers to come back.
Yeah. That was one of my first questions, because if they had done CGI, I don't think I would have done it.
Oh, very cool. All right, lastly, I'm a huge Devil Rejects fan.
Ah!
You, 3 from Hell is coming up. This is your third time with Rob Zombie?
Yeah.
Halloween, Lords of Salem, and now 3 from Hell.
Yes.
Are you allowed to talk about your character at all in the movie? Or?
I think so, a little bit.
Yeah, the trailer dropped. Looks great.
Yeah, I played Greta. I am a warden in the prison, and most of my scenes are with Sherry, and we rip it.
Yeah. Can't wait.
You're going to have to look really hard to know it's me, though.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
What's it like working with Rob Zombie?
Oh, my God, I adore Rob. I love him as a person. I love him as a director. He, as far as I'm concerned, is a creative genius.
Yeah, I agree, too.
And yet he gives his actors so much room to bring in their own creativity. He's just the best. And he and Sherry together are to die for.
Yeah. All right, and one of my favorite voice actors, because you are the voice of Wolverine to me.
Thanks, Bob. You're the best there's at what you do. And what you do is pretty nice.
Yeah, so you've done tons of video games, animations. Is this the first time voicing a puppet, or probably not?
I've voiced a lot of creatures
Okay.
in my day. I used to work at Full Moon Entertainment
Okay.
and Empire, and I would do some of the temp tracks for some of the creature stuff back then.
Cool.
I wasn't a fully fledged voice actor back then, but this is kind of where I started, was in creature work. I started out in anime. My very first anime job was as a creature. So to get to do this all these years later is really kind of coming full circle and realizing a boyhood dream.
What was the challenge on giving each one their own kind of personality with your different voices?
It wasn't hard because the context was already set by the time I got to it.
Okay.
They had finished production, locked picture. They shot everything in South Africa, and by the time I got to it, it was all done in a studio in Burbank, like I normally work.
Okay.
And I had the director, Bobby Miller, with me, who would give me context for each scene as we went in. So it was really just matching the voice to the image that I was seeing on screen, which is really the only thing I do well anyway. So it was an easy thing for me to do.
You're the best of that. So thank you so much, and I can't wait to see this movie take a bite out of my arm.
Thank you for having me.